What's going on, everybody? Listen, I want to welcome you back to the Creators Mandate podcast, man, where we're talking about creating with God and really walking in our mandates. And so today I have a special guest with for you today, uh, Nailah Shelton, a woman of God, a creative. She has so much to share, especially in the times we live in, entrepreneurship, creativity, very innovative. And so we're going to be diving in how to glorify God, with your social media. And it's going to be good. So before we get into it, I want to encourage you to go ahead and share this with your followers. Go ahead and share this with a friend, a brother, a cousin, an uncle, an aunt, somebody that may need some encouragement, somebody that you may know is a business, somebody's in business, entrepreneur, creative that could be blessed by this. All right. Well, no further ado. I want to introduce you to Nailah, and I'll pass it over to you. Let us know a little bit about you and where you're at right now. I know you're a teacher as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what's happening in your world?
Yeah. My name is Nailah Shelton, and I would consider myself to absolutely be a creative, but I'm also a teacher by day. I taught fourth grade last year. I teach fifth grade, this for this upcoming school year. And yeah, like my passion is social media, and kind of expressing your creativity, in a God-given way on, online platforms and things like that. But I really have been focused more so in the last year or so of kind of like throwing out the aesthetic thing and throwing out the, what we think we're supposed to be doing and the strategy of like how to get more followers and like blah blah blah, and really trying to tap into like what God is saying about how to build a platform and what his idea of a social media platform is supposed to be, because obviously the whole point is to bring glory to him. So
Yeah.
I've really kind of been diving into that. So I haven't been showing up on social media as the same in the same way that I have previously, for that fact, for that reason.
Definitely.
And so yeah, like it's been really great. I mentor other creatives as well. Like I have a few clients right now, and that's the biggest focus. It's just like, okay, how can we create a platform, or build a platform based off of our individual purposes or our individual mandates rather, to glorify God, and what does that look like individually for every person. So that's kind of been where I am, even just with myself, like building my own business and things like that. Really trying to figure out, okay, God, what are you saying? Like, and I mean down to the T, like what time should I be posting, Lord, or like, what's the strategy in this particular season? Like, how can I beat the algorithm through heaven's strategy and not through, what we think we're supposed to be doing? So
That's
that's a
so
little
good.
bit about what I'm doing.
That's so good. So I wanted to ask really quick, how did you make that shift, or what caused you to make that shift? Um, with your social media, because like you said, there's a lot of pressure now of you got to post three to four or five times a day,
Yeah.
to get followers. You got
Hmm.
to do the TikTok dance. You got to, you got to do all that stuff,
Yeah.
and I do believe sometimes it can bring a pressure in causing people to like dim down who they really are.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, to get influence, I'm going to have to do this and do that. And
Yeah.
sometimes, what if that does not align with God's
Yes.
will? But also, what if it doesn't align with your vision? You know what I'm saying? So, how did you make that shift from
Yeah.
like where you're at now?
Um, I think that I started becoming very exhausted. Like I was very tired. I felt like my creativity was like very muted for a while. And like it was just a struggle to like do the stuff that I typically like really did like to do. But it just became this very complicated and complex thing after a while. Because and I told a friend this before, but when I first started social media, I was just doing what I wanted, when I wanted. I didn't care about the likes or the follows or like whatever. But I also was not aware of what God wanted to do with my platform. And so I was kind of just like doing my own little thing. And that was great. There was no pressure, there was no whatever, but I also was not aware of like the weight that my influence had. And so I kind of was just in that space of just doing it because like it was fun. And then I started to become aware, like the Lord started to share with me, like, oh no, like this is me, like I want to use this platform for my glory. And then that's when it started to feel like, I felt a little pressure. Like I was like, wow, I wasn't sure about this before. Like I thought this was just for fun. Like now I feel like it got a purpose behind it. It started to feel a little bit more, like I could feel the weight of it, I guess, but it started to feel like pressure. And it started to feel like pressure because I was trying to approach like this new thing that God had shown me, or like this the way that he wanted to use my platform. I had started to look at it in the same way. And so yeah, like it was really the exhaustion that really made me think like, okay, God, if this is you and you want to use my it should not feel like this. My creativity should not be blocked up like this. Like I should not feel
Mm.
this way. And so that's when I started to take that into prayer and be like, okay, God, well, why? Like, why do I feel like I have to, have the numbers and whatever? And that's when I realized, like, oh, it's not about any of that. Like, you can absolutely have influence and not have the numbers. You can absolutely have influence and, not be doing TikTok dances. But another like practical thing that kind of steered me in another direction was like I would post things and I felt like I had so much more to say. Like I felt like I was being capped by this like trying to beat the algorithm thing. And so it was like I had so much to say, so much to give, and so many ideas and so much vision. But I felt like every time I went to go about it in the way that is like the typical social media growth avenue, it was not working. Like it just was not working. And that's when I realized, like, oh, you're gonna have to just step out and do whatever it is that you feel like God is telling you to do, regardless of whether you see the numbers or whether you see the growth immediately or
Hmm.
whatever. And so that's when I started the business like influence over popularity, because I realized like it's not about being popular, it's about being influential. Like being kingdom creatives is about influencing for God's kingdom and not necessarily for the likes or for the views. Now, I do think that, our measure of success, or my measure of success, was so different than God's standard. Like I'm thinking like, oh, like to think, if this is successful, God, I'll see the numbers. Like the followers will go up, the likes will go up. Like, I'm
Hmm.
thinking, we think viral. And I think God's like, no, like that's not what I'm looking for. I mean, yeah, praise God if it goes viral and it reaches, but it's still for the purpose of reaching more people to hear about me.
Right.
So, it's not about that at all. And so I just became okay with like, it's okay that you're not getting all the engagement, or it's okay that right now you're in this transition period. Because when you do make the shift, I will say on social media, especially like Instagram specifically, when you make the shift, you have to think like your followers, your community has all been built on you posting a certain kind of way or certain kind of content. So when you make that shift, the numbers are not going to automatically come, like the followers are not like, you're making that
Yeah.
transition of like, hey, this is what you can expect from me now. Either you like it or you love it or you don't. And, you have a choice to be here if you want to or not. And
Good.
so people start seeing like a lot of unfollows, or a lot of like, oh, I'm only getting 20 likes on stuff that I used to get 200 likes on. And it's like, that's normal. That's okay. Because
Hmm.
now your audience is starting to get acclimated to the fact that like, oh, she's not posting this stuff no more. She posting something that's going to sting a little bit, or she posting something that has a little weight behind it. Like you have to cultivate a new community.
So good. Oh wow. So I love you said so much, and I had ideas and questions that were just flying. I love this because I feel like you know this is so pivotal right now
Yeah.
because I believe there is like a lot of the pressure. I think it can like you said, affect your self-esteem or
Hmm.
confidence. Now social media has become this other world thing where it's like you're trying to please people that you don't even know
Yeah. Yeah.
and you can, before you know it, you could be losing yourself just to
Hmm.
look a certain way, just to appear to somebody that you're trying to please, or whatever the case may be, or try
Yeah.
to get followers, or get your stuff out there. But I love, like you said, the numbers may drop, and as you were saying, I was thinking about, sometimes it's better, less sometimes is better, in the
Yes.
sense that you can have a lot of followers, but what about those that actually want to work with you or really want to connect with you? Sometimes you
Yes.
can't find them if you got a big crowd of just a bunch of people hanging out. You think about Jesus; he had the multitudes around him,
Yes.
but most of the time, they didn't really want him. They just liked what he was doing. They
Yeah.
followed the crowd. They were
Yeah.
hanging out. But then, there was his disciples or smaller groups, and then, that were actually listening to hear what he had to say.
Yes.
They were convicted about what he was saying, all that stuff. And so I think that's an opportunity to cut a lot of the noise out of our lives as well, where it's like, if I'm just giving, in a sense, everybody what they want, then
Yeah.
I'm gonna just, everybody's gonna come hang out. But then at the end of the day, when things really go down, you're not even really for me. We're not even
Yeah.
You're not even here to stay,
Yeah.
and So I love that. It sounds like you're able to really narrow down your target market as well. Like, so God,
Absolutely.
if I'm on here to post, if I'm on here to whether build my business or whatever it is, then it's it's really going to give you that focus point, I think, of your people, and I
Yes.
think if so my next question was concerning all this, has this helped you like niche down to like your target client or your target market?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, before making this shift and this transition, like my mind was like, oh, like I'm just for whoever wants to blah, blah, blah. And it's like, in a business world, it just doesn't, that's not the best strategy. Like if we're talking about practicality, like you do have to hone down on, okay, specifically what kind of person am I targeting? And I had went to like a conference, and one of the women there, she had asked us to like, she was like, okay, like who is your ideal type of friend? Like do they work? Do they have a family? Do they have a, whatever? And so she kind of went down this whole idea of like, what would be your ideal client? Like if you had no limitations, or like, what kind of money would they be making, or, where do they shop or whatever. And I thought it was like a pretty silly, kind of uh activity, until at the end she's like, yeah, like this is the type of person that you're after. Like this is the type of person that you're after, like a person who, it's not just, oh, I'm called to women. Okay, what kind of woman? Okay,
Mm,
I'm called to women in leadership. Okay, women in leadership, and what, like we're all leaders, so like, I mean, what kind of leader? Or, are you called to women, who single women, or, single mothers, or, whatever. It's like really being specific about what your vision is for your platform will help you to cultivate the correct community, because otherwise you're shooting blanks, right? You're shooting in the dark, just trying to find somebody to stick it to.
right.
And that can be very exhausting as well, because it's going to be failure after failure after failure, or it feels like
Hmm.
failure after failure, because it's just like, oh, okay, like, whoever finds me. And it's like, no, you have to go after like what it is that you are supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, okay, like I'm not just for the creative, like I'm for this specific kind of person, or this specific kind of creative. And my platform before was very broad. Like I wanted to be for the Christian creative. Like that was my thing. Like I'm, just for the Christian creative. And then I realized like, no, I'm not. Like,
Come on.
praise God if somebody else finds me, but who I'm targeting at is not just this broad, huge community of Christian creatives.
Hmm.
It's Christian creatives who are women, who are really after the glory of God, who really want to use their platform for God's glory. And I think we all say that, but there are a lot of people who say it and don't really mean it. And so I'm not after that person. Like I'm after the person who's like, this is not my platform, this is God's platform. And so I want to walk in who God has created me to be and what he's created me. I want to use my creativity for that purpose. And I think that can look different for everybody, like,
Hmm.
um, I'm not saying that I narrowed down too much to say like, oh, you got to be doing what I'm doing, or you got to be like me. Like it's not that, but I do think there are people who are in fashion, and people who are in music, and people who like all of these different spheres, but their goal at the end of it is to use their social media platform to glorify God. That's the
Hmm.
person that I'm after. And so that has made me feel, that honestly has released a lot of pressure from me as well, because I've come into like this solidified knowledge that like I'm not for everybody.
That's
And that's
good.
okay.
Yeah.
God has raised up other people to be for the single mom, or for the, whatever. And that may not be that may not be my person. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's really okay. If that person stumbles upon my page and gets a little nugget here and there, that's fine. But as far as my clientele, I don't feel the pressure anymore of trying to like get everybody into what I'm doing. Like if I only have 5 clients, I only have 5 clients, and that's okay. But yeah, it has really freed me a lot, seriously, even when it comes down to like engagement and whatever. Like I've just realized like, okay, I'm in that transitional phase where I'm cultivating like a newer community that's on fire, and it may
Yeah.
it may not come as quick as when I first started my platform. Like I was posting like hair stuff, like natural hair stuff. That was so much easier. Like it was so much easier to go after that community of people, because it was just, but now I'm like, okay, no, Nyla, you're gonna have to be a little patient with this thing. Like, it's okay.
Hmm.
You are after a specific target audience, and you're gonna have to cultivate that. Like, it's
Hmm.
okay. Yeah.
No, that's good. So like you got to build that consistency up with it.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, so with all that, so can I ask you, so what is your daily
Hmm.
like? What is your daily like routine with your social media, like the prepping, the ideas, the
Yeah.
posting, the respond, all that stuff?
Yeah.
How does that go?
Um, and I know this sounds like so cliche, but I'm telling you, has been such a game changer. Everything that I post on my social media, like at this point, really comes from a place of like prayer, like, or like a lot of like my little nuggets that I share on Instagram has been like from my prayer time that morning or my prayer time, the night before or like whatever. And so before I really was like on a schedule, like, okay, I'm gonna plan this, and this out, and this is what I'm gonna do. But it didn't really leave a whole lot of room for like, that worked in that season of my life.
Hmm.
But now I think again, like when it comes down to posting things, like I've done or have been doing a lot of work on the back end. So like my stand store, like creating resources or, whatever. And so a lot of like my daily routine has a lot to do with that of like, okay, working on an ebook or, trying to that type of thing. But when it comes down to like posting, there's like this fine line that I have right now of like being married to a posting schedule and being like, you don't have nothing to say right now. So you don't need to fake it or try to force it or, whatever. And I will be honest, I'm still trying to navigate that like balance,
Hmm.
because I don't want to be that person that just to post, like in the name of consistency, just posting anything,
Yeah.
because that's just not what I, want to do. Like I want to
Hmm.
be very intentional and purposeful about what I post. I don't want to just be another platform that's just posting just because, I have to post today. Like I gotta meet my quota, gotta check off my box, and be like, I don't want to do that anymore. But I'm also trying to say, okay, Lord, like I do want to be consistent though. So,
Yeah.
like I want to say what you're saying, but I want to be consistent in it as well. And
Yeah.
so I am still trying to, in all transparency, like find that balance between, um, you know, having something to say and being okay not having nothing to say. And
Right.
so, my post may just be on my stories, or my engagement for that day may just be talking to people, responding to people in their DMs or responding to other people's stories and building the community in that way. Because sometimes I think like when we get on social media, like we can be very like, okay, like my platform, I got to do it. But, and a lot of the connections that I built or a lot of like the relationships that I built on social media has been by engaging with other people's stuff too. So it's not
That's
all
good.
just about like my posting. Like sometimes like I'll go and look at somebody else's stuff and start a conversation in their DM or, reply to somebody else's story. And that is my engagement for the day because it's still building a community.
That's good.
Like followers may not always come from your last viral post. It may come from you caring about other people's stuff as well.
That's good.
And, like Nadia and I, like, our friendship started on social media because I responded to her stuff. Like I was engaging with her with her stuff, and we started conversation about, what is the Lord teaching you right now, or like what. And it started out that way. And
Mm.
so I'm a firm believer that like it's not just all, oh, I'm posting. Like sometimes it is you engaging and creating a community or engaging in a community. And so right now, like again, I'm like, okay, I could post a carousel today, and then on Wednesday, I've been very spaced out. Like I am also not the person that thinks you have to post every day. So sometimes, like I'll sit down and be like, okay, Lord, this is what my week looks like. Is it Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Is it Tuesday, Thursday? Am I going to post just on the weekend? And so it has been like very much so that like in this season, in other
Hmm.
seasons, I did have a schedule.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, I hope that answers your
Oh
question.
yeah, no, it definitely is good. I love how you said something. You said you and Nadia's relationship came from like social media. Like
Yeah.
so, I think what that speaks to me as you were sharing that is, you bringing hope. There's hope to like social media. There's a lot of good to the media is a wild world, right? At
Yes.
times, a lot of things are
Yeah.
said, a lot of things are viral that or things are news can be chaotic, right? But on the other hand, like you said, relationships are cultivated, lifelong relationships. I know some people that have they're happily married because they met
Yeah.
someone online, or whatever the case
Yes.
may be. So I think it's definitely it's definitely a place to be cultivated the right way. And like you said, if you're in being engaging and knowing the purpose for it, I think
Yeah.
that sound like where you really have been at. So I wanted to ask you, and kind of shift a little bit. I got a lot of questions coming up
Okay.
right now.
Yeah.
So we live in like the information age, the digital age, and I know you say about your stand store, ebooks, and stuff like that.
Yes.
So, how do you feel like how do you like to set your page up in a way where, like, say, to set up where people can get connected to your resources? I know because sometimes you can have your link in the bio, you
Yeah.
can post, and ultimately the goal is to get them to check out your stuff, probably
Right.
eventually. So, how do you see the importance of having a system like kind of working for you, like whether through emails, through opting in pages, or whatever the case may be? How do you set all that up with your
Yeah.
page?
Well, number one, Stan Store has been great. And so I link a lot of my resources all in that one place. So I don't use like Linktree or anything. Like I use Stan Store and I just link everything in there. So like my mentorship and, booking a one-on-one or trying to, like an ebook or whatever, like all of it is in one place. And, obviously like you can shift things in priority of like, if you're doing a mentorship and it's closing, you put that at the top, whatever, grab people's attention. I also will say that email marketing is a really big thing, and I think that people kind of sleep on that because like we just think, oh, like my leads come from social media or like whatever. Your leads do come from social media, but again, like one thing that has been great is like, okay, let's say that you post a reel about I don't know, disappointment, right? You post a reel about disappointment and you're like, oh, like, I have a resource, a free resource. And it's just maybe something that you just put together real quick, right? That person goes to your stand store, they see that free resource at the top, they put their email in so that they can get the freebie. And now you have a lead. Now you have their email address where you can now send them emails to kind of tell them the value that you bring. And it may just be, the marketing may be you just giving little nuggets of wisdom so that they can see like, oh, like this is a person that has wisdom to give me, and so it's
Mhm.
worth the investment of booking a mentorship or booking a one-on-one or whatever. And so I think that like the email thing, like people really 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 sleep on that because people are like, oh, people don't check their emails or what. You will be surprised, like
Right.
people do check their emails, people read their emails. And so that's something that can be automated as well. You can sit down and on Monday you can write out the emails for the rest of the month, and then
Mhm.
you put that person in that funnel. And once they're in that email list, they can be consistently getting emails. And again, like it's a way for you to market yourself as well. You say what you have to say, and then at the bottom, hey, just to let you know, I still have my mentorship available, or I still have this available, or I have this other resource for this cost, or whatever the case may be. But again, like that's a great resource as well to kind of like get people to invest without saying, hey, like book me, book me, book me. Like people want to know that what they're booking has value. And it's hard sometimes to do that just based off of a social media post here and there.
Yeah.
So email marketing is great for that. I also think too, like posting links on your stories. Like not everyone is gonna like click the link in your bio. Like so posting on your stories or like talking about your product or talking about your business or talking more on your stories. Like I am a huge person, like I say this all the time, like I think stories are an incredible resource, like being on your stories, sometimes even more so than a post, because that's where you really get to talk to your community. And people want to feel like they're part of something. Like people want to feel like, oh, I'm on FaceTime with Pastor Angel, or I'm on FaceTime with Nailah. And so it's like when you get on your stories and you're just talking about like your day, or you could be talking about still talking and selling your business without people feeling like they're being sold to. So it's
It's
like,
good.
okay, like, yeah, like this morning the Lord shared blah 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 with me, and y'all will never believe, like, this happened to that, and then he drew the parallel from this to that. And that just made me, we talk about this in my mentorship, we just talk, things like that. Like people want to feel like they're engaged in something, not just a product or a service.
That's really
And
good.
so, or that they're just another number, and so anything that you can do to kind of cultivate a relationship before you say click the link in my bio is always going to get you more clicks, in your bio.
Right.
So I think that's a way. I know I personally have not used this, but I know a lot of people use like automated DMs, where it's like, oh, comment this if you want this. And, but even with that, I was talking to a friend of mine. She's like very successful in what she's doing. And she was like, a lot of the times I'll spend all day Like when people DM me that word, I don't use an automate. I actually sit and have I send voice messages or, whatever, because people want to feel like they're in like in relationship, if that makes any sense. And
Hmm.
obviously, like, to an extent, don't be out here just, but people want to feel like, oh my gosh, like she actually cares about, what I think, or
Right.
whatever. And that's how you get the buy-in of people to like click somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really good. So, I hope you guys that are listening that you're getting something from this. This is really good. This is a lot of nuggets. Um, I love you. You mentioned the email marketing. I
Hmm.
too have realized how important email marketing is,
Hmm.
and like you said, we live in a time where people may think, oh, email marketing is dead or whatever. But that's a lot of times actually a place where you can stay connected to your people off of social media.
Yes. Yeah.
Say if TikTok, Instagram, Facebook shuts down or whatever the case may be, you have that way to communicate to your community and to your people. So listen, get your email list. Definitely,
Get your email list.
it's definitely been a blessing. I love even that you can automate emails and
Yes.
so many different things you can do with it. And I definitely think it's big. So would you say posting is more so for the public and stories are more so, like you said, for your community, right?
Yeah, so it's like the way I see it is posting is what draws people to your page, right? But your stories is how you keep people on your page.
Yeah.
So, like, again, if you're trying to create a community, which I think is what social media is about, even if you're doing it for a business, like, you're still trying to create a community of people. And so posting, it increases your visibility, right? So, like, and it
Yeah.
also establishes value. But your stories is what makes people feel like they belong to a community. And so it's hard sometimes to do that or to feel personable in a video or a post or, whatever. And so utilizing your stories is what makes people want to stay, you
That's
know.
good. That's
Yeah.
good. So I wanted to just ask you something like far as like real time in a sense. Like say if somebody's uh, getting ready to launch a course or maybe a
Hmm.
new ebook or something like
Yeah.
that, and so what would be the best way to I guess launch it? Like
Hmm.
would you say you need to like do some posts before? Would you need to do like some I don't know, some pre-work? I guess what kind of pre-work or prep work
Yeah.
to prepare yourself for that like launching out?
Yeah. I think that and again, like I said, all of this is what I'm currently like walking through.
Yeah.
But I would say you have to like build the anticipation of a thing. So I know for me, like when someone says like, "Oh, I'm nosy," so I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like, well, what is it? What you finna launch, and whatever. So getting on your stories and saying like, the Lord has really given me, like, y'all have no idea, this is amazing. Like, whatever. I'm really excited about X, Y, and Z. Like, kind of just like creating some hype around what you're getting ready to, and I think yes, you can. Okay, two things. One, I think that a lot of people discredit like reels, when you're launching something. So they'll just automatically go to posting a picture of like the book that they just made. Okay, that's great, but why that book different than some other book? Or like why would I want what's the value of this book? Like where did it come from? Like what does it mean to you? Like
That's
I'm a
good.
person where I want to connect with the person. So if you are creating a course, why? What was you know what I mean? Like where did that course come from? Like what problem did you have or did you see that you're like, oh, okay, like I gotta create this thing. Like why would I want to invest in your course or your class? And that's what people have to like on the front end talk about that before you even get to the launch of the thing. So
Mm.
it's like, okay, you're on your stories talking about what God has been sharing with you, or you're on your stories connecting it to you personally, and then from that point, then you can share the product or share the ebook or share the whatever and continue talking about it. Like, hey, we talk about this specific thing, and this thing came from, this experience of my life, and I realized this, and this is the wisdom that I gained from it, because it makes you credible. It makes me want to purchase whatever you because I like people want hope. At the end of the day, that's what people want. People want hope, they want encouragement, they want wisdom. And so
That's good.
if you're just posting something and I don't get to attach it to nothing, the chances of me buying it is nothing.
Mm,
And I also think too, the practical part of like launching something is keeping in mind that you're not launching to your friends and your family. Like,
yeah.
that's not your audience.
Right.
So yeah, you can have a spike in sales or a spike in, they're doing that because they're like, oh baby, I support you. Yes, you go and do the thing. Go forth and blah blah blah. That's not your audience. That's
Right.
not who you're marketing to. You are not marketing to your family. You're not marketing to your friends or even like your close circle of like, your close circle of people. You know, you're marketing to a specific group of people. So you have to talk to them as if you're talking to that person. So
That's
if
good.
again, going all the way back, who am I, who am I trying to reach? Who's my target audience? If you keep that in mind, you're like, okay, I'm talking to the you know men in sports and whatever. I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm gonna get on my story and talk to that as if I'm speaking to that person directly. Because that's your target, that's your audience, that's what's gonna make them connect with it. And so I think too, like again, posting on your stories, but then like respond to people in there. Like if you have a call to action in your caption of when you launch a thing, hey, DM me this if you want to, but engage with them when they DM. Don't just send
Hmm.
them the link to your stuff. Hey, like what made you interested in, like, or like what made you comment? Like, I'm gonna send the link, but I just wanted to know, like, where's your head at? Like, are you getting ready to start a business, or are you getting ready to whatever it is that your product is? Like, start some conversation before you throw the link for somebody to purchase something,
That's
like
good.
again, to establish that relationship, the value, right, of a thing. So yeah, I think also not putting your eggs all in one basket. Like a lot of people use Instagram as their sole way of marketing something, and people sleep on Pinterest, people sleep on YouTube,
That's,
people sleep on TikTok, right? Like Pinterest is a great tool, especially for people who are like selling clothes or, selling like a physical product. Like utilize Pinterest. I'm telling you,
wow.
utilize Pinterest. Like put your stuff on there. Like do not just put your eggs in one basket. I am not a huge Facebook kind of girl, but I know a lot of people, who are a little older than me, they really love Facebook and they have a great community of people who engage with them on Facebook. Use it, don't just post stuff on Instagram. Don't just post stuff on Facebook. Don't just post stuff. You post it everywhere, and it's like, I do think that every platform has a different personality. And so you do have to be
Hmm.
aware of the personality of each of these platforms. So
That's
don't,
good.
I don't think that you should just cut and paste. That's not what I'm saying. Instagram has a very different personality than TikTok.
Hmm.
TikTok is, I show up in my bonnet and I could talk to y'all about anything and people relate to it and boom, that could go viral, because people want to see you in the full raw form that you're in, so they don't care about the polish, the aesthetic, whatever. So the
Hmm.
aesthetic videos don't really do all that well on TikTok. Instagram is the bougie brunch. You come with your best outfit, you're cute, you're polished, you kind of put, a little more organized. YouTube
Yeah.
is for long form. Those are for people who are sitting down and they're eating their dinner and they want to, watch a 15, 20, 25 minute video.
Right.
So it's like each of these platforms do have a different personality, but you have to understand that and then post accordingly, and then I think that people will start to see a little more success.
That's really good. I love that you mentioned the different platforms because I know sometimes like you said, a lot of times the older crowd will go more to Facebook
Yeah.
and they just don't connect with Instagram, or sometimes they do, but
Yeah.
um, so you said something about Pinterest. That's very interesting. I think
Hmm.
Pinterest is something that's not really talked about, so to say.
No, it's not.
I know it's there, but it's almost kind of like it might be something to really jump into then,
No,
because
I'm serious. Like,
it's
I'm telling you, it's good. Like, and the reason why I know it's good is because I'm a person that's always on Pinterest. I'm
mm,
always on Pinterest. I'm always clicking links on Pinterest. Like, sometimes I find little, pieces of clothing that I like or I buy stuff, but like people sleep on it because it's like, oh, if I don't use Pinterest, that no, it's not about what you use. It's about what your audience is using.
that's
So
good.
if you're a person that's like into interior design, Pinterest is absolutely where you should be at,
Mm,
like because again, people get on Pinterest to get ideas of like, I know I do, outfit ideas or Okay, I'm trying to paint a nursery. Like, I want to get an idea of like what I kind of want. And people get on Pinterest. I do it. A lot of my friends do it. But when we think of posting, we don't think of posting on Pinterest. But even when it comes down to like income, every time a person clicks that link, whether it's the link to your website or whether it's a link to an Amazon where you are able to get a little bit of a profit from every
Commission.
person that clicks and purchases from your Amazon wish list, or whatever. It's still a way to generate passive income, but we
Hmm.
don't think about that because we spend a lot of our time on Instagram, or we only think about what we use for social media platforms or what
Yeah.
we scroll through. Same thing with TikTok. It's like, I mean, you can't just post. I mean, you can, I guess, but it's a different vibe on TikTok. So you have to figure out what each of these platforms like, and you got to adjust accordingly and shoot your shot in each of these baskets.
That's really good. Um, I have. I want to ask you a question. This is probably for creatives and entrepreneurs, or definitely people that love Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think I've dealt with it myself. I know other people have dealt with it as well. It's like, if is there a dividing line of uh, you know making money
Hmm.
in versus like representing God at the same time? Like, just let me say it like this, like, being, there's I've talked to many people that have like been in a place of they've been wrestled with their idea because they're like, I don't know if I want to charge because I don't want to like I'm a believer. I want to make it look like I just want people's money, but at the same time, it's your business, it's your idea, it's your
Yeah.
thing. So what do you say to somebody that's wrestling with that component of their creativity, their, say if they have an ebook or course or whatever the case may
Hmm.
be? Yeah, what would you say to that?
Um, I think that it's about heart posture, one, you know, because I think that can very easily turn into something else. But at the end of the day, why you can't make money? Like, why can't people pay for the wisdom that you have? Like,
It's good.
I mean, it's different if you pimping people out, but like, why can't you like? It would be the same as if I was offering like we would charge the corporate world for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if I
Hmm.
had wisdom to give, or I had something to give, and somebody asked me to come to you know a meeting at Bank of America, and they wanted me to talk about whatever the digital finances or whatever, I would charge them. We would charge them.
Right.
So I don't understand why we. And here's the thing also, I also think that sometimes and I don't want to, this is strong language, but like, I think
Yeah.
sometimes we're doing people a favor by charging, because you won't take it seriously unless you attach something to it.
Very much.
So if you're not paying, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not paying, it's the same concept of like when you give your kids allowance and you tell them, okay, you go to the store, but you use your money.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? They think about what they buy a little more. They are a little more intentional about what they purchase, and they
Yeah.
care for it a little bit more than they would if their parents just bought it for them. And I think
Right.
it comes down, it's the same thing with our knowledge or the wisdom that God has given us. Just because God has given us the wisdom doesn't mean that we don't have the right to charge for it. Like, I think
Right.
that's silly. I think that's silly. I think that it's God's desire that we prosper in business. God did
Hmm.
not just give us these ideas just to freely give out and to just let people just like, no, I believe that God has given us these things so that we can prosper.
Right.
Like, I think that we are, as entrepreneurs, we're called to build, like, to build wealth, like to
Hmm.
build the kingdom in wealth. And I think that to assume that people are supposed to give their time, their energy, their wisdom, their ideas for free is
Come on.
insane. Like,
Yeah.
because we're not, that's not like building the kingdom. Because then,
Definitely.
okay, I give you a nugget for business just for you to turn around and develop it, and then you give it away for free too. Like, what are we building here?
Right.
And it's like, I mean, if we're trying to bring heaven into earth, right? If we're trying to go and dominate these different areas of influence and whatever, I think that in entrepreneurship we have to build up the kingdom in wealth
Come
just
on.
as much as people in the world have built up the kingdom in wealth for the world.
Definitely. No, that's really good. I was looking for I was trying to look for the scripture, but there's a scripture in Proverbs, and it talks about, you know, the pretty much the one that when that holds back the grain, that holds
Yeah.
back. It talks about selling what you pretty much have,
Yeah.
and I'm just paraphrasing because, like I said, I was the
Yeah.
scripture. It's in Proverbs, but it talks about, when you hold back, it's like the people suffer, or like,
Yeah.
I, I think it may be in terms of like the people can hate you or something like that. So it's almost
Yes.
like you have an idea, you have a solution, but like you don't want to release it, so to say,
Yeah.
or but it doesn't just say give it away, in a sense, because like you said, sometimes if you don't, it's just like like you said, like in reference to what you were just saying with like our children, if I just give them, $5 or $10, and I say, hey, go buy whatever you want to buy, and then the next day they are asking for more money,
Yeah.
in a sense. So instead, it's like, hey, like we have to leverage this for what it's supposed to be used for, so it can add
Yeah.
value, so that you can obtain certain things that you want.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if it's always just going and getting anything, and they go to the store, oh, I'm just gonna grab candy. Sometimes kids will go to the store and they'll start grabbing stuff,
Just anything.
thinking that they can just have it. I'm like, oh no, it don't work like that. You can't
Yeah.
just grab anything you want, and then, because if you did, you would probably throw it in the street when we
Yeah.
get out the door. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You will waste that probably, or you will
Yeah.
waste whatever the case may be. It's just like telling your kids, it's like trying to give them so much food at one time. It's like, no, eat that, eat this first.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll give
Yeah.
you something else. So I don't know. I think I love what you said, that like, and also like you said, we have to value um what God has blessed us with, and I think there's the poverty mindset.
Yeah.
When you study the church history, and you even study the Bible, says that as in Christ we are now kings and priests. We are
Yes.
royal priesthood, and uh, by nature in the Old Testament, when you were under the priesthood of Aaron, you couldn't be a king and a priest. So if you were a priest, you had almost take a vow to poverty.
Yeah.
So to say you love God, to say you're going to you stand in the gap for God and the people,
Yeah.
you're intercessor, whatever the case may be, then that would almost you would almost have to have the mindset of I love God, so struggle is actually a good thing, like not
Yeah.
having struggling, have to just barely make it. And so I think sometimes as believers, sometimes that mindset really still tries to find itself in the church, tries to really get on the people.
Yeah.
And but now we're not just priests, we're kings, right? We're
Yes.
royal priesthood. So we are king
Yes.
and priest, unto the order of Melchizedek. And kings actually, as a king, we represent the kingdom, right? And
Yes.
so to be a king, really, when you study it, that means if you're a king, you have a kingdom. So God
Yes.
has given us influence through our gifts and all that stuff to prosper in, right? Because as kings, we take territory, we go into
Yes.
the business world, we go in all these different places, where God wants to bless us in.
Yeah.
But I think now we're in it's the merging of the priest and the king
Yes.
mindset, the mentality, because a king lives in uh royalty. It's like
Yes.
it's living a blessed life. So it's like we can be spiritual, we can be living for God, anointed, called of God, in the spirit, all that stuff, but also we need prospering in the natural as well, because how are we going to give to the homeless? How are we going to really
I was
be a
just getting
blessing
ready to
to other,
say.
to other people, when we barely make it, what I'm saying? So
I think, yeah, I think
yeah,
that that's part of also the enemy's tactic too, to keep us from being able to like do things like be generous and give to a ministry, or whatever. Like it's this vicious cycle of like, oh, like I have this thing and I give it away for free, so I'm stuck in poverty. So where I'm supposed to be generous, I can't be generous. You know what I mean? So it's like this cycle among believers where like God has given us the tools to wealth, and then we snuff it out and we just say, okay, no, 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 it's supposed to be for free. Like it's also like this false humility of like, oh yeah, like I'm
it's
just so
good.
humble that I have to give it for free.
So
No,
good.
that's not humility at all. Like that's wasting what God has given us, the
Mm.
tools and the resources. But then we cry out and we ask God for checks in the mail and whatever. And it's like, no, God has literally
My
given us
God.
the tools and the resources to build and develop and to keep wealth so that we can also give it out and be generous and whatever and fund the exploits of the kingdom and all of these different
Mm.
things. But if we don't do that, you know what I mean? Like we're looking for God to provide in other ways. Like we're looking for the quote unquote miraculous in other ways. And it's like, no, God has put a seed on the inside of you
Yeah.
for you
Yeah.
to be able to water and develop and spring forth wealth. And if you're not doing that, you can't be mad at nobody but yourself. You know what
Wow.
I mean? Like you can't
Yeah.
be upset with God because he's not giving in the way that you think that he's supposed to give, because he
So
has,
good.
but it's in seed form, and I don't think that, again, I don't think that we like that, because people try to guilt trip us into saying like, oh, if you're doing XYZ for the kingdom, then you shouldn't have to pay. And I don't think that that's true. I think that
Yeah.
it's different if, like I said, if you're pimping out the gospel and telling people, oh, I'll only pray for you if you pay me, or I'll only prophesy to you if you
Mm-hmm.
pray, if you pay me or whatever. But I think that as far as like business and the ideas that God has given us, like those are precious, those are gems, those, like, that is the seed of wealth.
Come on. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, no, I actually found that scripture. I think one of
Oh
those
yeah.
scriptures. It is Proverbs 11, verse 24, and it says, there is one who scatters yet increases more, and there is one who withholds more than is right, but it leads to poverty. There you go.
Yeah.
And then it says, a generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered
Yeah.
himself. So, no, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's so good. Because if if we have to sow into where we want to go, we got to invest. We got to
Yeah.
put something on the line. It's just like the Lord, calls us to step into business and different things, and there's a sacrifice that comes with that. You got to
Yeah.
invest in things. You got to invest in mentors or services or whatever the case may be, and that stuff takes money.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
and like you said, the reality is, if we were to, if I think about things, a lot of things that have just been given to me. Now, a lot of things I do have free, and I've made sure I steward it well. Just
Yeah.
the principle. But in most cases, like something that I have bought or paid for, it's because really money actually shows to where your heart is.
Yes.
And so when you can invest your money rather than going buying the next new shoes
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
but I'm invested in this course, I'm invested in this program or whatever, because it's almost convincing yourself as well for
Yeah.
what you're building or what you're going to
Absolutely.
step into, because a lot of times we have to win ourselves as well.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you may, I know me and my wife talk about, we've spent thousands of dollars at times on programs and things that we're not in anymore, but we
Yeah.
don't regret it because it really kind of showed us where we were,
Yeah.
showed us our heart. It gave us,
Yes.
whether we got one nugget out of it, whether we got whatever we
Yeah.
got from it, we received so much from it, so
Yeah.
that it allowed us to become in a certain way. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
it's important that we
So
invest in
good.
ourselves. So
Yeah.
anyway, this is really good.
Mhm.
Before we jump off, do you have any like last words or anything? Any
Um,
encouragement to the people?
my biggest encouragement is to be confident, like ask the Lord for confidence in what your vision is for your platform, whether it's social media for business or your personal, brand or whatever, like really find out like who your target audience is. Because I think that from that place, things will feel a lot easier, like you'll be able to find your people. But also like remember that everything that we like, yeah, everything that we do, everything that we create should come from the secret place. And so you're feeling exhausted or tired or, whatever, and you're like, man, I don't know how else, like, I don't know what else to do, or I don't know, but it's probably because you've started striving in some way, like you stopped creating from the secret place. And creating from the secret place means creating by faith, like you're creating, believing that God will give you whatever you need, the vision, the wherewithal to create. But when we start trying to create from our own, like it leads to exhaustion. So
It's
that would
good.
be my encouragement, to create from the secret place.
Create from the secret place. Listen, that's
Mhm.
the slogan of Creators Mandate, is create with God. So I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. This has been great. Man, this is some nuggets. I'll be going back and listening to this. And I believe this is going to bless a lot of people. This has been like the first podcast, I think, that's been like a lot more practical. I was like,
Yeah.
in like some nuggets, some actually like I can actually go and
And
do
do
this right
this right
now. Yeah,
now.
yeah. So this is really good.
Good. Amen.
So listen, I appreciate all of you for joining us today. Oh, now really quick, can you share with
Mhm.
them how they can get connected with you or check out your stuff?
Yeah, it's on Instagram, it's influence over popularity. And then I also have my personal Instagram, which is underscore Nailah, Nailahhhh. I gotta change that because that's a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the two main ways that you can connect with me. But
Okay,
you can
cool.
find me there, then influence over popularity.
Okay, and we'll have all those links down in the bio as
Yeah.
well. And so, anyway, and you can definitely continue to like and subscribe to this channel. And you can check out creatorsmandate.com for any of our resources. We got new merch and stuff coming out as well. And yeah, until next time, create with God and stay blessed. Later, you guys.